Madam Ambassador, it's great to have you back at Bloomberg. We appreciate your coming to see us today. If we're talking about a long road to passage, how much time does Ukraine have?
Well, I think the question is how much time do we all have? Because what Ukraine is on the front lines. Mm-hmm. But Russia, together with Iran, together with North Korea, is challenging not only us. So we will fight as long as we have to fight to win this war. And we have to also show that while all these dictators stay together in their club and helping each other and inviting Hamas into Moscow, we have to also show that we can stay the course. And again, today, even though the discussions were difficult, even though it's an election year, of course, there are all, in every country, internal issues that needs to be addressed. But I was so happy to see that, it was a very strong bipartisan support and not yet a final, of course, just the first step in the right direction, but that they will be discussing it. We need this support yesterday. Since last October, Ukraine did not have either budget support, and we're running out of the military support as well.
So if this were not to pass, because the Senate is one thing, the House is a very different animal on this. There is a lot more skepticism about the need to continue funding Ukraine. What happens on the ground if you were not to get this $60 billion?
Well, I think we have to do everything possible in order for the U.S. to stay strongly in and continue supporting us. I mean, look, the war is there. It's a full-fledged war. We have the front line of more than 800 miles, and it's a very active front line. And we are holding that front line. In the Black Sea, we were able to liberate the Black Sea, if you want to say so, from the Russian fleet, and we have to continue doing so. Now, we can double down now and support, which will allow us to not only defend the country, but also to sustain our economy, to prevent our more people becoming refugees, and what is more important, to sustain the economic growth that we have, so we can become self-sustainable and not ask for help.
It's an active front line, as you described, with reporting today that there is a critical shortage of manpower, of soldiers, men and women who can fight on the front line. And I understand there was a disagreement between President Zelensky and what is now the former military chief. You've had a change in leadership. What is your take on that? What is the most important need? Is it manpower or is it hardware?
Well, first of all, of course, the hardware is still the critical shortage. We still need more equipment, more air defense, more. And with the manpower, yes, we just 2 days ago, our parliament adopted the new legislation on mobilization. Mm-hmm. That's not because of the short power. That's because, people for 2 years are in the trenches. Mm-hmm. And we have to also regulate and evolve. And as President said, to move forward and change sometimes the strategy in order to be current on what is needed at this moment.
This would allow those who have been in the field for 36 months to be discharged. That's what you're referring to?
Exactly. It's one of the points there is how to do the rotations, how to let people, rest and then come back, So it's a very complex law. But in general, people are still motivated. We still have enough people who want to fight, there is no choice, actually, for us. We are defending our homes. But the equipment, we are running out of equipment, and especially missiles and interceptors and everything else. So it's still a very much function of the weapons.
You talk about how people in Ukraine are motivated, and we know that President Biden seems pretty motivated to make sure to continue to aid Ukraine as well. If the congressional aid doesn't ultimately pass, have you discussed with the administration potential alternatives through which Ukraine can get assistance? What would Plan B or Plan C look like?
Well, I think we all have to work really hard on Plan A because, frankly, in any country which is a democracy like Ukraine and the United States, you need approval from Parliament. You need approval from people for this. So
there is no Plan B that you've discussed?
Well, no. Of course, we're discussing even now, and Pentagon is trying to support us in any way possible. And Europe has stepped up, and as you know, last week the decision was made, and we're asking our partners to front-load the budget assistance. So we work constantly on so many areas of what can be done. And with administration, we work very actively since last September on co-production so that we can produce more weapons in Ukraine. As you know, in drones and all this maritime drones, we are producing them in Ukraine. We will do all of that. But let me be very clear, there is no alternative to continuing the support. Of course, we will use everything. Of course, we have intensified work on the confiscation of the Russian assets, but that's not Plan B. It's part of Plan A, and we have to stay the course together.
Madam Ambassador, what happens to this effort if Donald Trump is the next president?
Well, first of all, I think we still have to think about this year, and we have to win, and we have to fight, and we have to do everything possible. Second, it's a democracy. We will work with the president that the American people will elect. But I have to remind you that we have to thank Donald Trump for providing us first javelins. It was Donald Trump's administration, and I was the Minister of Finance then, worked a lot with the administration. The decision on the lethal aid to Ukraine was taken by Donald Trump and his people. So, it's, look, I think it's not a partisan, it's a bipartisan issue. Mm-hmm. The fight for freedom, the fight for independence, fight for democracy and the values that we share. It has been, and we will work very hard to have it bipartisan. It's all American, issue. So I'm positive that, we will stay together because we are strategic friends. We have been, we are strategic friends now, and we will be, regardless of the election cycles, which again also happens in Ukraine, And when we win the war, we will come back to the normal election cycles, unlike Russia, North Korea, and all the wonderful countries that are attacking us.